Let's talk about grid values real quick. You can change your grid values right up here using the drop-down menu, and you can see that you could change your grid values to almost any note subdivision. In addition to that, you can have dotted notes or triplets, and this is all based on beats and bars. So our grid values right now, you can see, are based on beat and bars. Let me turn on grid mode. So now everything is snapping to quarter note grids. So there's bar 8, bar 9, and bar 10. And you can see we get 4 snaps per bar. We certainly can change this. And now we have 16 snaps per bar, or it's snapping to 16th note grids. However, we don't have to be based in grid mode. We could also be based in a time scenario. So here, now we have seconds. You can see that these aren't lining up with the bar lines, but they are lining up here with the minutes and seconds ruler. So right now, we're snapping to 1 second increments. We could also change that, and we could also go down to as low as 1 millisecond. So there's really a bunch of different ways that you can edit your data and change your grid values. When you have follow main timescale enabled, Pro Tools will follow whichever grid values you have selected in your rulers. So here, now I have 16th note grid selected because I'm using beats and bars. And when I click on minutes and seconds, now we move to 1 second increments with our grid values. So you have to be careful of that when you're editing your data, that you're not editing to minutes and seconds if you're working on a piece of music and it really needs to be edited to beats and bars. This button right here that says grid, you can see that it will toggle on and off. If it is on, it's just showing you that the grid lines have been made visible. If you turn this off, the grid lines disappear, but you can still see that Pro Tools is snapping to the grid. So this is just for visual reference only. Okay, let's start looking at some of the edit commands that you can use inside of Pro Tools. The first is the cut command. The cut command removes data, either MIDI data or audio data, from your Pro Tools session. And its shortcut is Command X on a Mac. Also, you can find that command under the Edit menu. So here is Cut. You can see there's the shortcut Command X. So what Cut does is removes that data. One of the things that's unique about Cut is that it also places the data on your clipboard. So now that I've cut that data, if I wanted to insert it right here, for example, I can click with my mouse and then just paste it because it's already been placed on the clipboard. So the cut command places the data that's been removed onto the clipboard. You can do this with multiple tracks, adjacent or non-adjacent tracks. Command X will cut them. You could also go like this and then you go Shift and select a non-adjacent track and then cut and then maybe paste over here. And this works the same way with MIDI or audio data. The next command is the copy command. It works just like in any word processor. So make a selection, Command C, and then maybe come up to a different track and paste it there. So the copy command can also be found under the Edit menu, Command C. And the copy command does paste the information onto the Mac or PC's clipboard. Next command is paste. Command V, same thing. We can go copy, Command C over here, make a selection, Command V, and it's going to paste and overwrite the existing data. You can also paste across multiple tracks, as I've just demonstrated. Command C and Command V, and paste that data from these two tracks into a different location on the same two tracks. The clear command is essentially the same thing as delete. So if I hit the delete key, it's the same as the clear command. So we can find that up here under the Edit menu as well, clear, and you can see the command for that is Command B. So we've covered cut, copy, paste, and clear. One thing to remember is that there's a little bit of difference between cut and clear. Cut cuts the data and then places that data on the clipboard so you can paste it. Clear just removes the data but does not paste it onto the clipboard. Two commands that are kind of similar are the duplicate and repeat commands. So let's look at those two. Duplicate will just duplicate and place at the end of your selection the exact same piece of audio or MIDI data. So if I grab maybe this right here, and then I want to duplicate that, I can use the shortcut or come up here to the edit menu and select duplicate, Command D. I'll use that. Each time I hit Command D, it's going to place a copy of my selection right at the end. So this is a great way to make a stutter effect. Undo that. If there's a specific piece of audio or MIDI and you know you want it to repeat a certain amount of times, you can also do that. Let's just take the drums for example. Turn on grid mode. I'm going to grab the last note. And let's say I want that piece right there to repeat like 20 times. I can use the repeat command for that. It's a little different than most of our other commands. The repeat shortcut is Option R. You can see right there, Option R. So it's a little different. Option R, and it brings up the repeat dialog box and asks you how many times you want it to repeat. So let's say I want this to repeat 10 times. So you get the idea. If you have a specific piece of audio that loops, like a drum loop or bass loop or guitar loop, you can use the duplicate and or the repeat command to repeat that as many times as you need to in your particular piece of music. There are a variety of commands that are very specific to Pro Tools and will be some new commands that you probably are not familiar with. The first one is the separate clip command. The separate clip command allows you to separate a particular audio clip into multiple individual clips. So for example, if we take this one bass clip right here, and we decide we want to separate this into a few different clips, we can do that by placing our cursor and going up to the edit menu and saying separate clip at selection. Command E is the shortcut. So whenever we do that, place our cursor and hit Command E, you can see it places an edit point at that cursor location. You can also see that it's renamed each of these clips now. So if we did have a whole parent clip here, now we have individual subset clips that we've created because of our edits that we have made by using the separate clip command. Now we can also zoom in and select a certain area and then separate clip at selection. I'll use the shortcut, Command E, and you can see it separated this into its own individual subclip. So now instead of one subclip, bass.01, 24, the subclip 4, now when we make this selection and add that edit, you can see we have 6, 7, and 8 are the subset clips. You can also separate clips a number of other ways as well. You could separate the clips on specific transients. So for example, if I wanted to make this selection here, and I wanted this selection to be separated based on where it detected the transients, I could do that. I could go up here to Edit, Separate Click, at Transients. And you'll see then it gives me this dialog box that asks me how much padding do I want in front of each separation. I'm going to say like 2 milliseconds, just a slight amount in front of where it detects the transient. I click OK, and you can see that it has sliced this audio clip into many different clips based on the transients that it detected. You can also do the same thing, and you can separate a particular clip based on the grid. So in this case, I have a grid value set of quarter notes. So if I say separate on grid, it's going to give me this same pre-separation amount. I'll say 2 milliseconds is fine. Click OK, and it's going to separate each of these clips based on the grid. So we can separate based on a selection, Command E. We can separate based on the grid by going up here, separate clip on grid. Or we can separate on transients. And we could do that by going up here, making a selection, going up here and say separate at transient. So 3 different ways to use the separate clip command. The last command I wanted to talk with you about is called the heel separation command. The heel separation command allows us to put back together some of the clips that maybe we have taken apart with the separate clip command. So it heals those separations where it gets its name. So if, for example, we decide we want to heal a separation that we've made right here, for example, there's one clip here and one clip here, we could make a selection that covered that separation, and we could go up here and we could choose heal separation, Command H. And you can see now that it has healed that particular separation. If we want to heal some of the separations that we have created, we can do that by just selecting the entire area and choosing Command H. And you can see even the areas that were deleted, it allows us to heal that separation. One thing that it does not allow us to do is that if we have moved some of the data, then we're not able to heal that separation. So now if I try to heal it by going Command H, you can see it won't heal these 2 areas because I've moved this data. It did heal right over here. Let me undo that, and you can see here I'll try to heal it again, Command H, and it healed here and over here, but it did not heal this area that had been moved. So that is the heal separation command. That's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start talking about moving and trimming clips, as well as using some of the nudge functions in Pro Tools, nudging selections, creating fades, etc. So stay tuned.